el video ya, ¿no? Buenos días. Bueno, en honor a la puntualidad, vamos a...
Good morning. We are going to begin with our first panel of this Congress related with the Metaverse. That will be coordinated by Patricia Revuelta from Paina. We're going to play the video for the panel presentation, and then, Patricia will lead the panel. Thank you for your attendance.
Precursor del metaverso. Buenas prácticas para la concesión de licencias.
Good practices for the brand licenses. Danny Martin, Head Public Affairs and Global Policy Tenants, United States. Maca, CEO from Licensing and Marketing, Mexico, Panadería, a bakery store. Andro, Miralrio, Country Manager, The Center, Mexico. Moderator, Patricia Revuelta. Partner from Abril, Abogados, Spain.
Panel discussion on best practices for in-game trademark licensing. As video games are often seen as the precursor or close example of the so-called metaverse, we're going to take a closer look at how brands behave in the space. Our panelists will delve into intriguing topics, including emerging trends, opportunities, challenges, and best practices for licensing trademarks into digital platforms like video games. So first, to set the boundaries for the panel discussion, what is in-game trademark licensing? Well, it refers to the process by which trademark owners grant video game developers the right to use their trademarks, such as brand, names, logos, or characters, within a digital gaming environment. In return, the IP owner typically receives a royalty or an IP or a licensing fee. Before commencing our session, we have compiled a short video showcasing examples of brands being incorporated within video games. Okay, well, these were just my examples, and then Danny, I'll let you.
Good morning. It's wonderful to be back here with my ASIPI family and friends. Today's topic about in-game licensing is one that, on the one hand, can be seen as nothing new. It's part of an evolutionary step. We all know about marketing and licensing practices. They've been around for decades, if not hundreds of years, in one form or another. But what we're seeing here is that video games is the latest in creative media to be of interest to brands and marketing professionals to reach out to an additional demographic in new and exciting ways. If we look at the history of marketing and branding, we know it started in a more static 2D environment and print. Over time, with the introduction of television and film, we saw licensing have its entertainment value increase, but it was still static in that it was passive. You sat back and you watched it on the screen, whether it was a small screen or a big screen. Video games now create a really interactive environment for the brand to live. It invites users, the gamers, to play around with and test and manipulate the particular product at hand, which you cannot do, of course, in print or TV and film. 10 years ago this month, 10 years ago in December, I was at an ASIPI conference in Punta Cana speaking about fluid trademarks. Now, fluid trademarks have existed for a while, but over the last 10, 15 years, we really started debating how do we, as IP professionals, deal with ever-changing trademarks, right? A popular one would be the Google example. Every time you go onto the search page, the Google logo looks different. One of my old clients, Adidas, would display the brand in 100 different pieces. And you know, the trademark lawyer doesn't like that type of mutilation of the trademark or that type of change in the trademark. When we now shift to the interactive user-generated world of video games, fluid trademarks seems quite small and quaint compared to the business and legal challenges that we'll get into. With that, maybe, Andro, why don't we go through some additional examples of in-game licensing and then we can answer some questions.
Hello, good morning. Yeah, I will share one of the main examples that we have in Tencent. PUBG Mobile, I think, is like one of our main hubs that we collaborate with a lot of brands, with a lot of influencers, with superstars. So, but we go very quickly with PUBG Mobile. PUBG Mobile, it's a free-to-play game. What's free-to-play? That you can download for free, and if you want to acquire any skin or a weapon or anything that it's have an extra cost with our currency that we have in the game. It's you can have it's available on App Store with Google and also recently in Huawei. It's a battle royale. What's a battle royale? Imagine that the Hunger Games, this movie that 100 players goes into a land, and they fight against others, and the last man stand. It's the one that wins the match. You can do it alone, or you can do it with your squad. And it's based in the PUBG a game that was launched for a PC and console. Well, basically these are some numbers regarding PUBG Mobile. You know, number one monthly active users in the world, 15,000 million active users also around the world. I think it's really, it's one of the main games in mobile, and it's really an honor that I can collaborate with this game. These are some of the integrations that we have with some IPs. Spider-Man, Evangelion, this anime from Japan, Jujutsu Kaisen, another anime, Arcane, that is based, and also it's a TV that was launched on a TV series that was launched on Netflix, based in another game that is League of Legends, Dune, the movie, Mission Impossible, Godzilla vs. Kong, The Walking Dead. Recently, 2 months ago, we had a collaboration with Dragon Ball. For us, was one of the main collaborations that we had in all time. In Latin America, it's number one, the IP, it's super strong, but each, it's really interesting talking on this side because we are not in the conversations, in the negotiation of the signing of this IP. So we just receive like, hey guys, this is, what we're going to do. So let's create the magic with the marketing, to promote this in the local way. So it's a big challenge for us, because sometimes, just to give you an example, maybe we can use the Latin American voices, the dubbing for Dragon Ball. Or sometimes we can't promote with some of our influencers in our social media. So, and each collaboration have their challenges.
So, on the one hand, entertainment is quite intuitive that it would go into the game space. You already see these characters in movement in TV and film, but to get it right in the game, of course, requires a level of authenticity in ensuring that the in-game mechanics work for that particular character. And it requires deep trust between two very large IPs to put in a Spider-Man or a Mission Impossible and make sure that it still walks and talks and looks like your beloved entertainment character.
So, you can think, okay, you are going to put only Spider-Man into the game, but no, it's part of this big challenge, that I was talking, because we need to put on, we need to collaborate and put this, how it's going to be the game, if it's going to have a new gameplay, Sometimes we have like a new map. You can use the skin of this character. Also, in this case, you can throw your web, to climb through the building. So every collaboration have, different approach and how we are going to support it. In this case, also sometimes we need to collaborate with the local office, in this case with Sony Pictures here in Latin America, and they can, and sometimes it will be aligned with, in this case, with the launch of the movie, So with Dragon Ball, we didn't have any launch in that time, but each case it's different. As you can see with Spider-Man, this PUBG guy that I can tell you that the helmet is one of the most representative icons in the video game industry. So every collaboration, we're going to have PUBG Man in the collaborations. So also we are having some brand partnerships, Grubhub and Wendy's, KFC, Butterfinger, Papa John's, Monster Energy, Mountain Dew. The last one that we have last month was with KFC, and this one was one of the most complete collaborations that we have because In other countries, we have also some offline activations. You can go to the restaurant and go and change some coupons. We have this a meal with KFC, but in game we had the store. We have these stores, and you can go there. We had the Colonel Sanders skin. We have also an employee of KFC in the game. So I think this was one of the most interesting. We received a lot of good comments from the players. So yeah, the people love this coloration. Automatic colorations, I really like this part. 2 years ago, we had the McLaren one, and we tried to make something very locally because, this is the other part, as I said, locally we need to also find a way to promote and to share what we are doing. So for McLaren, we found the same McLaren that we are going to have in-game, and we collaborate with an influencer, very popular here in Mexico, and also with a wrestler, a small wrestler, Kemonito, and we, combine everything in a video. Was very interesting, and the people trying to the local, it's like the local flavor, and was really, 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 really interesting. These collaborations, we have it, we change every 3 months. And you can imagine, every 3 months we are going to have a new version of the game, and every 3 months we are going to have at least one of each coloration. So or sometimes we're going to have 3, or 4. So yeah, it's really interesting to work with them. The last one that we had was with Dodge, and for America was one of the main collaborations that we're having also in the car part. Well, for celebrities, Blackpink, Karol G was amazing, because was one of the first Latin American collaborations that we had. Alan Walker, Lionel Messi here with the soccer, with the World Cup, and Blackpink I think was one of my favorites because, as I say, with Karol G we had the skin, we had just a small video, but was really complicated because we can promote it with other songs. So it was really, really complicated. But like an example with Blackpink, we had also a concert in game, in this metaverse. So the people needed to sign in the game. They received a ticket, as you can go to a stadium, to a venue, and you go into the game, and you are going to see a video from Blackpink. So this was amazing, yeah, and we received some awards for that. Well, as I said, and it's not, in this case, you have like the clothes, very similar to, and related to the IP, to Lionel Messi, and also it's not only the skin, as I said, it's also the items, the guns, the bag, the helmet, and sometimes the IP, and in this case, Lionel Messi sent a video, a message through their social media to promote and to support this collaboration. So I think it's not only from our side, it's also the support from the other part.
This is our game, so let's go. Na 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 na. We found our purpose in the goal. Na 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 na. We found our purpose in the goal. I hear the moment calling.
Next. So why, video games are, these are some of the numbers that we are having around the world. For Latin America, it's one of the main regions that it's increasing a lot. Not only in the past was only for console and PC. In Mexico was, I remember, like 7 years ago for Xbox. We were the number 6 for them. That was one of the most important markets. But right now, the mobile gaming industry, I think it's the biggest one. So it's increasing, and it's something that you can see it's growing and growing and growing. We have different parts. Also, we can share with some activities with the esports. These tournaments we have for PUBG and for other games. It's our competitions, official competitions, and we have regional competitions, and then we have like the world one, and we have a world champion, and just to give you an example, we have 1 billion views on the esports side. So, and this is how we also put that part to support our game. As I said, it's not only they can bring the global collaboration, but also we in the regional part we always try to put the local flavor to support our collaboration. And well, as I say, also, the marketing, it's very important, because sometimes we need to do something offline with that part.
And just to put things in perspective, one of our studios, Riot, does League of Legends. The League of Legends Global Championship, more people watched it live than the NFL Super Bowl, the Academy Awards, the Oscars, and the Grammys combined. So you have huge audiences, very attractive demographics, and brands are now starting to learn how to tap in the right way, and of course, how to avoid doing it the wrong way. And with that, Maca, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah. I'm going to switch it to Spanish. I'm going to try to switch it to Spanish. I don't know if I'm going to can. Uno de los retos más
One of the biggest challenges that we have for the in-game advertisement licensing, inbound and outbound, of specifically video games, it's a very thin line between distinguishing what is licensing and what's not licensing, what is only advertisement, and what is an integration and interaction of a brand that can lead us to a collaboration. So the most important thing, I guess, is to define what is a licensing by itself, collaboration, or a pure advertisement in an interactive platform. So many of the examples that Andro show you and that we saw on the opening video can give us a very clear perspective of what is licensing and what's not. If we see a Tesla or a Lamborghini inside of the video game, it's an in-game advertisement, and it is a very clear advertisement that is touching all the gamers and as in PUBG. In my opinion, this would be pure in-game advertisement. In the case of Lionel Messi, it's another thing. It's if you see Messi, you are bringing and appealing the Messi fans with a different engagement within the game, where besides that, they are integrating their abilities, their skills, what makes them to be the best player around the world within the game or inside the game. But in a PUBG game, we don't have a soccer ball. But while we have Messi inside the interaction, we do have a soccer ball. Here, what we have is a collaboration. It's not necessarily a license. It's a collaboration where we have the emotional bond between Messi with the fans within a video game. And in the case of licensing, we have much more from where to see and grab examples. In the case, for example, like Spider-Man. Spider-Man is more focused to licensing than collaboration, because you have a brand already with copyrights, with a very well-defined profile where we have it's a skin, a Spider-Man skin that you can use and so that you can have the powers and that you can go through and move in the game with a different status, and you can buy it and it creates royalties, or it gives you royalties. In the case of Messi, you can also buy Messi skin, I guess. Yes, but this is where you can complement things because of the size of both brands. But as Danny mentioned, the size of the brand will also give you an idea of how far you can go with your collaboration, the size of the investments, and the scope, if it's regional, local, or international. So, but in my point of view, this is a very relevant topic because of the audiences, how they relate with each one of the games, and if the brand already talks to those audiences and what they're looking, it's a bigger engagement, or if they're not talking with these audiences. And for example, the luxury brands are the most active brands in video games licensing. And it's not only because in Asia there's a huge relevance with video games, and they have an interaction with the luxury brands, because at the end these are products that are globally available. So it's a matter of talking to other generations and be relevant to the new generations that are playing now with these games. So before, you used to say, okay, I want to be relevant for the millennials, or the Z millennials now are just passing by. But Generation X is still there, and this is where we have to look for the relevance of the game itself, the relevance for the audience, and the relevance for the brand. And to combine these three main topics is what can create a very successful action. But it's also very complex, legally speaking, to land everything in an agreement. The scope, the collaboration, the integration, and the participation on interaction that the brand or the game will have with the audience. And this is where the challenge becomes an enormous responsibility, but it could be a huge opportunity for all brands too. Me pedo. Y si tartamudean.
Danny, how can we summarize the three more top best practices?
I think as the panel has touched upon this morning, as a IP lawyer, you really need to work with your client to understand the audience of the game. I think the marketing professionals will know that very well, but it's important that the IP lawyer also can work with your client to understand the audience. Is the demographics and other user characteristics appropriate for the brand? Are there political, cultural, and other considerations that need to be taken for the brand? I think highly related to that is to know the game, to know the in-game mechanics. Does it work for what you want to do? So this requires you to also know about gaming and how to play and what works, what doesn't work. We shared the Spider-Man example. Many of us may love Minecraft, but Minecraft won't have the same type of in-game mechanics to allow a very smooth Spider-Man to swing on a web, which would require a different type of game platform, even if Minecraft is very popular. So you have to understand, how that works. And then ultimately, you need to know the underlying business, right? Games have millions of lines of code. They often have complex storylines. How does your brand fit into that business model? Does it help with the discovery of your brand in that type of game? And I think you can see a few companies answering some of those questions in very creative ways. Yesterday or 2 days ago, Lego announced that on December 7th, they will drop a new Fortnite game for Lego. Brilliant move. Lego is a very strong brand, already has a very strong presence in video games, but Fortnite is a older demographic. Now, a lot of kids playing it as well, but it leans older. Fortnite is rated teen. Lego audience is rated E for everyone or 10 and over. So from what I can tell, December 7th will be an entirely new Fortnite game. So a true kind of cross-collaboration, cross-platform that will be rated younger, E or E10, to respect the brand for Lego. And I think you'll see whatever violence exists in Fortnite also, of course, get pushed down for that type of age rating. But it's great because they can now tap into the group that has always wanted to play Fortnite but might have been too young, and also trying to raise their game, so to speak, by having just interesting gameplay that you won't see in an existing Lego game. I think we saw one example in Andro's presentation with Yves Saint Laurent putting lipstick in a game, which doesn't have perhaps the same intuitive placement that a car does. Right? Think about a lot of these games have very large maps that it takes forever to walk from point A to point B. So cars make sense to drop in a game because it actually is part of the journey. Lipstick technically isn't, but here you see an uber luxury brand wanting to connect and make themselves more relevant to the Gen Z, to the millennials. And this happens every day outside of the game world as well. I'm reminded, Tiffany, I think a year or two ago, did a cross collaboration with Nike. Tiffany as a jeweler has nothing to do with sportswear or footwear, but why do they do it? Also, to make them a little younger, a little fresher, a little hip. And they've done also with a number of music celebrities and others to do a strategic brand repositioning. And I think more and more brands are looking at what is the audience of gaming, how do the in-game mechanics help the discoverability of my brand, and how do I make that work?
Yeah, and now that you mentioned the Lego, the launch that Lego is just announced, voy a cambiar a español.
And I'm shifting Spanish. Collaboration. I coincide with Danny. It's super intelligent the way that they integrated the collaboration, but it's also how Lego works and moves all the way. If we study the Lego history and how have they been keeping up with the different paces and trends, with the films, it's almost always collaborating with the Batman, with Spider-Man. They've done a lot of collaborations so as to create this double relevance for the different audience that they want to speak to. So we go back to the core of the discussion of why are we doing this? Well, it's the target, supposedly the Fortnite is played on a 13 plus. We all know that it's not true. All children are playing Fortnite when they're registered. They have to say they are over 13 because it's legally established like that, as likewise Google and all their social medias. And this is where legally we establish the protection of the conversation and what the brand is conveying outwards and outbound to protect themselves. But it's not that the children are not playing. So this is one of the most relevant factors in the discussion between your clients. The scope of the legal protection or the legal risk of the brand when associating with certain video games. How are they going to integrate, and what is going to be the scope of the integration of the brand, and how can it affect legally in the future the brand by being integrated in one video game? Lego did not integrate it within Fortnite as is as of today. They developed a video game, and a specific video game with the same mechanics, and in the same mechanics as PUBG, that's Kill of the Hill, where violence, well, it's reduced, no, for children. So dynamics were achieved differently to protect the speech or the claim of the brand without continuing showing the gameplay in this video game. Some of these things cannot be solved only from the marketing point of view or the game developer point of view. It's really important, the legal participation, because the legal scope, there are certain regulations that we, from the marketing side or the development side, we don't know. And this is where it's a priority to have legal counseling and a legal advice, so as to have a very deep approach on the game, the collaboration, and either you decided to have a software collaboration or not within that development.
Okay. As a lawyer, one of the main concerns is to know if brand owners establish really hard limits to preserve the use of the trademarks from having a negative image.
So, I mean, I'd welcome Maca and Andrew's response on the business side. As we've moved from fluid marks to licensing in games or in kind of this more hyper digital reality, this precursor to the metaverse, I think IP lawyers are going to have to be a lot more flexible working with marketing teams on how brands may appear in games. You represent a company and the game developers say, we want to blow up your car. Your Mercedes-Benz, your Tesla, do you want your car blown up? To have an authentic in-game experience, your car can't just be perfect and pristine if you fall off a cliff. So you need to start getting comfortable. Is that how you want your brand to be used in the game? As you've seen from Andrew's examples, many car companies said, yes, that's brilliant, we love it, it's okay. Games don't have to be that different than, I guess, the more traditional entertainment space. We're all used to seeing Range Rovers and the latest James Bond movie, Defenders, getting shot at and going on hills and crashing. Why not in video games? But it takes a back and forth between the studios, the marketing executives, and the IP lawyers to understand that.
I'm sorry to jump in. I think it's interesting what you said, because we're so used to that, but we're so used to sit and watch. Just what you were saying in the beginning. Now, any gamer displaying the game can crash my car against the wall. So if I let you use my car in a movie, I will know exactly what will you do with my car. And I will know the whole script from start to the end. So I can be as careful as I can with that, because I have the information way in advance. But in the video game, you will get the right to do whatever you want with my car, because it's going to be allowed to the player. Of course, it's going to have boundaries, and not anything can be done. But in order to keep the gameplay, it's a car. And it can be accessible to any player to crash it into a wall if they want to. And they may die inside because of that. So that is the challenge of understanding the actual benefits of being inside of the game and being interactive enough to be driving a Tesla inside the game, even though I crash it or not. So that boundaries are the ones that we need to stretch out in order to understand how far we can go, because if not, then we will be losing an opportunity of being inside of the game and being really relevant for the player to be either in a Dodge or in a Tesla. Because of course, it gotta be relevant for them, the difference between the cars, which also happened in a movie. You know?
And when Maca said that you can do whatever you want with the car, it's really, it's that. Because I'm also a gamer, so when we have a collaboration, we need to play, well, right now we are playing at least 1 hour daily, and we need to test, that part. And you can imagine that maybe one have a skin of of a chicken, another one is the skin of Messi, another one maybe he doesn't have any clothes, and everyone is going inside the car, and they are going to hunt another team that it's another way, and they are going to shoot the other guys from the rooftop. Yeah, so without clothes. So well, only. But it's really interesting. So I think that part, the developer needs and the brand needs to understand very well what's going on in what will happen to their main product in the game.
We've seen, one question that comes up quite a bit from trademark licensing professionals who are accustomed in the non-interactive world that a license is for X, right? It's for 2 years, it's for 5 years, and after the license is over, it's over, and everyone goes home. You license your assets into a game, and it can live forever. Think about that for a moment, right? We don't like perpetual licenses in IP, but you have an element where that skin or that product that was sold in-game in a branded manner will continue to exist in-game in that branded manner for as long as the game lasts. Maca, you had an interesting perspective on this.
And again, I think it's a matter of understanding the material support where you put the brand in. Because if you brand it into a T-shirt, and then it lasts a month, because it's World Cup, I don't know, maybe, and I get the T-shirt, I will wear it for as long as I want. And it might last 10, 15, 20 years. I can inherit it to my son, and it might last even longer than the game. So I don't think it's restrictive to a game. It's part of the licensing deal. If I allow you as an IP owner to use my brand, to put it somewhere, might last forever. So maybe if I license it to KFC, it's going to last 3 months on KFC, and it's going to be in paper bags that are not going to last that long. But the advertising, any posts on Instagram or anywhere where the user are going to be wearing or eating or having a crown are going to last forever. So the collaboration or the integration between the two brands may last forever. So I don't know exactly what moved Yves Saint Laurent to put the lipstick inside the game, but it's been disruptive as well, and trying to talk to women that are more and more into gaming. So whatever they thought it was good back then, maybe management will change tomorrow and they will think that is the craziest thing that they ever did and they don't want to hear about it. I'm sorry, it's going to be there as well. So in the end, I don't think it's different. It's licensing, pure licensing. All of those things are considered in any licensing deal that we have.
I mean, I love that perspective. We're all used to for sale doctrine in IP, and here we have this similar concept being applied to a digital asset. Now, it still remains in a controlled environment. The game still has rules, but if it's in your inventory, it stays in your inventory, just like if I bought a cross collab between Tiffany and Nike.
Okay, I'm from Maca, so after all, would you say which is the most important ingredient to foster a successful partnership between brand owners and game developers?
I think the most relevant thing is being organic. It gotta be as organic as we can make it happen. Because it should be organic in any licensing deal, no matter what the material support we're putting it in is. But in gaming, in my opinion, it's much more relevant and much more important to understand the relevance and the relationship between the brand and the game inside because of that. Because the interaction could last forever. And that specificity on how we develop the interaction of the brand inside the game, it gotta remain loyal to the brand, but it gotta be part of the game so it can coexist with anything that is in there. So this organic side of it gotta be very, very relevant. Maybe, in my opinion, it's like the number one. And the number two will be the relevance of each of the brands and what is the weight of the brand to have the interaction within. So we gotta be very careful because normally what we see, and most of the examples that we've shown today have ultra relevant brands being part of the game or being advertising in the game. But it's also an opportunity for little brands that have the uniqueness big enough to be relevant in the game. So I think that would be the opportunity so you as a brand are not being lost inside of the game or be eaten by the game totally. So it not just has to be a relevant brand, a super big, confident brand in the world, as the ones that we've seen, or these luxury brands that are taking risks or doing something disruptive to talk to different audiences because they have to, but they must do it. But it also can be local brands that want to be relevant to the same audience, but it gotta be this uniqueness that can be a conversation piece that is created in the game. And is relevant maybe just to a target that is local in Mexico or is local in, regionally in Latin America or Hispanic America, or it's something that might want to go global and be relevant. So I think those, for me, those 2 points, the weight of the brand and the relevance that already exists outside the game, or the one that you want to create by being in the game, how you're putting it together, not to be eaten by the game. If it's way more relevant than you, if that's the case, and the organic side on how smooth the things can go, so the audience doesn't really either notice it so much, but enjoy it and be part of the game, and also create a conversation piece, which is what we want with licensing.
Just want to add something very quickly. When you're talking about small brands, that's something very interesting because you can be part of something bigger, big universe. Because imagine that there are some games that you can have Superman versus Spider-Man versus Darth Vader versus Goku.
And Messi.
And Messi fighting in the same match. And this is something that in the movies or in the comics world, it's not going to happen. And also your brand is going to coexist with, inside this battle. So I think that's part of the great universe that the video game industry have for all the brands.
As we leave you this morning, here's an opportunity to be creative and use this interactive, immersive space in new and exciting ways. The Tesla example that we showed, Tesla didn't just drop a car in a game. Tesla said, you know what? You have to earn a Tesla car. We're special. You have to build a gigafactory in the game to build the car before you die, and then you could have it. So you could see how it brings in the players to create a factory, create the car, and then go off with your new Tesla in the game.
As hard as it is to get it in the real world. Not really. It happens, and that's one of the things, in my opinion, as well, that the video games can bring to you. So anything can happen. So like in Football Club 24, might be Messi against Messi, and Ronaldo against Ronaldo, and might be playing for hours, which will never happen in the real world, but you can have it if you want it. So, but you got to earn it somehow as well. So I think it's part of this organic side that got to be part of the decision.
Nos quedan 2 minutos.
We still have 2 minutes. Is there any question from the audience? Can you please take the microphone to the person who raised the hand?
Hola. Hello, it's from Ecuador. My question is about the future of the hardware in video games. How you see this? The PlayStation, the iPhone, the iPad, the PC will disappear. The lens with VR will be the future, and particularly how you see the Apple Vision Pro lens. This concept of the spatial computer could be the future of this, and how will be playing video games in 20 years?
Happy to take the first part. I think everyone in the industry believes that games will be platform agnostic, that we will move beyond the platforms. And we're already starting to see that on many games, that you could play it on an Xbox or a PlayStation. There are only, correct me if I'm wrong, about 300 million consoles in use today around the world. 300 million. And in mobile, you have billions. So obviously consoles are for harder core gamers because you have a lot more technology and memory, et cetera, to play these big games. But the direction as technology keeps evolving will be that it doesn't matter what you play on. It could all be cloud-based, and you won't need a particular platform, and you could switch from your phone to your TV to something else.
I agree. I think it's a matter of it's going to be available anywhere and everywhere. So it's already what we've seen. So it doesn't matter if it's provision, if it's a metaverse inside your kitchen, whatever it is, it's going to be part of it. So, and it's going to be evolving with it. So.
Llevo 15 años trabajando, 17.
I have been 17 years working in the industry, and every new console says to be the last one. And they said the next one will be the last. And they continue so. I think that the part of virtual reality, I remember some 7 or 8 years I went to a fair in Los Angeles, and everybody was saying, the virtual reality in 2 years will finish with this. The most crowded stand in a games event with a PlayStation announcing their product was a booth of pornography in virtual reality, and it was the most crowded one. So I think, and the part of video games has been getting more and more complicated. But what will happen in a moment when the video glasses will be less expensive? I think that the direction in the short or medium term is that you can play the same game and you can be playing from your console, and then you say, okay, I will go on vacation or I will be on a trip, but I continue to play from my mobile and so on. I think that is to me, that would be the future, and obviously it will reside in the cloud, so you don't have to download a drive or to bring something with you, because that is a part in this moment is gaining more relevance.
I'm going to steal it from you.
A ver, gracias. ¿Alguna otra pregunta más? Que si no vamos.
Thank you. Is there any other question? Well, over there. Please, could you wait a second? Please wait a second for them to bring you a microphone.
Hello everybody, my name is Shadia Ponce. I am an intellectual property attorney, as all of you, and I'm here at Basham Rinchen Correa, and I'm representing ANADE Colegio de Abogados. The first thing that I want to do is to congratulate you for this great exposition, Maca. You know we have been together in a lot of forums. I really admire you, and you're great, and you're the best for this thing. So thank you for being here and for sharing so much information. And congratulations to all of you, but I have two specific questions that I would like to do to you today. The first one would be, I would like to know what have we as attorneys haven't understand on how can we be with you or walk all this way to the creation and the protection and everything that has to be with the characters. I would like to know if you have like a suggestion, because we as attorneys, we are a little bit, well, we know the law and we apply it, no? But maybe we haven't been following you in a specific way or in a specific topic that you would like to suggest us. That would be the first one. And the second one, it would be, I would like to understand how are you like trying to, because you start like, you protect the character, you use it, but I think that the character goes on and starts to be everywhere, and you don't know even if you have protected it in that country or in that thing or product or service or whatever. So I would like to know how have you been like following the characters to protect them and to get like to an agreement, no, to all of you to respect the specific characteristics of the characters and that they've been respected in a final video game. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Gracias. Following the character to be protected, I think it gotta be key from the legal perspective in order to understand how far you can go. And that gotta be the basis of every clause that you have in that collaboration or licensing contract. So it gotta be very clear on how far they can go. And if you cannot put it on a clause, then you gotta have the approval clause. So anything that can be done with the character, it's approved by you if you're the owner of the character, and goes both ways. It goes both sides. What can be done inside the game, it's going to be like solely decided by the in-game, by the game owner. So, and the other question in how you can follow what we do in order to be really protective. As you know the law, you gotta understand the business. And it's something that is not, again, it's not just restrictive to licensing in games. It gotta be part of any business that you're part of, that you're gonna put in a contract, that my personal view of how a legal team become really relevant to a licensing team is doing some research and understanding what the business work coming in is. And it's, so I'm not a lawyer, been working with lawyers my whole life because of the IP licensing side, but in the end, it's very similar what we do as licensing executives and what you do as legal support, because we gotta understand how the process of making a t-shirt is, even though I will never make a t-shirt. Because then I will know how far I can go, and if I need to protect our business from something else. What's the opportunity cost I'm paying? And the only way to understand it is by going deeper on the business and understanding the platform that we're playing in. So if it's a game, if it's a t-shirt, if it's a retail exhibition, it gotta be part of the understanding from the legal perspective, because if not, there's no way for you to protect us in the proper way.
No pasa nada, tenemos tiempo.
Well, nothing happens. We still have some time. We would have time for one more question, please. In the politically correct, in the culture of cancellation, for instance, I do not like violence, so maybe a brand that I like and participating in a violent game would affect it. How do you manage that? Totalmente, hay juegos que no tienen sentido para unas marcas en particular. Ya se mencionaba que debemos conocer al público. Si el público está en ese juego o no, o si no queremos alcanzar ese grupo demográfico de esa forma.
But I love what Maca said is, there's an opportunity to be bolder, to know the business, to be a bit more transformative in how you do consumer outreach. I don't know if it's too early to be, I don't know if this is controversial, but consumers are bored. And companies are trying to figure out how best to connect with them. That is one reason why TikTok and other platforms are skyrocketing, because it's a new form of creative media.
Free speech.
It's a new form of media that is interesting to a large part of the population. So I think for IP lawyers, you have to understand what are some lines that you do not want to cross, and that's very fine. You do the same decisions outside of video games as well. What channels? Do you want to go ultra right-wing websites for pop-up banners? Probably not. So you make those same decisions, you'll make them in games, but there's an opportunity to learn more about this world and take some chances.
Yeah, and in the other side of the decision, it's just the balance. Cuando decides a qué audiencia le va.
When you decide what audience you are addressing and you have the strategy decided, it is probable that in a cooperation you may lose some audiences that are not with the other brand. That will always happen. A successful cooperation is when the balance makes you bring far more audience, even if you lose some of them along the way. There will always be something disruptive that may not please somebody. The thing is popularity and volume. If you are doing that, is to do more audience or more sales, even if you lose some target in the way. And the brand have already identified that Coca-Cola would not work with shooting games. Maybe in fantastic games where they use gas that send beams of light, maybe, but not in those games that are more intended like shooters of guns. So the brands need to have that very well identified. Thank you very much to the three of our panel members. Thank you. Now we will be in a 15-minute break, and we will continue later on with our second panel. Thank you very much.
I know you're scared sometimes, don't know if you're wrong or right. You've been doing things you never thought you'd do, taking it day by day. It seems like you lost your way. Even when you win, it still feels like you lose. When your heart is racing at the speed of light, and you feel like you got nowhere else to go. No, I hold you till the sun comes in the morning light. Yeah, I'll keep you safe, I'll never let you go. When your heart is racing at the speed of light, and you feel like you got nowhere else to go.